It's preparing to live stream.
There we go.
This one took longer than the other ones. I don't know why it did that.
Oh, no problem. We made it. That's all that matters, right?
Exactly. All right. We are live.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ron, for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad we got to reschedule, and I know things happen,
Yes, thank you so much. And
Oh, you're welcome.
Sunny behind me joining us today.
Yeah, so I guess it's getting pretty close to the time when 2009, I think it was in May, was the 3RP festival. It was in May.
I think it was August, actually, August 2009.
August? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my first one of my first prog festivals with first prog festival where we were playing with other bands, because I had done other concerts with Persephone Stream at that time, but was very cool to perform with all those very talented prog bands. And I just wanted to thank you and Angie, because I was still new to the prog scene at that, and I had started working in Persephone Stream, and then was also doing a recording project at that time with New Eden Orchestra, and it was just very cool. You and Angie were so nice and welcoming to me, made me feel really welcome there, and that was probably one of my favorite concerts I've done ever, and that was at the Pepsi Roadhouse here in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, that was, for me, that was kind of like an unusual place for a venue, because it looked more like it was just like a club than and I think it was, wasn't it?
I think so. I know they held different festivals and concerts there, but yeah, it was used for a lot of concerts as well. But it was big. It was nice size. I remember it. Nice stage, nice sound system in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw a lot of the bands there. I was looking forward to watching. Basically, I think I reviewed almost all of them, the CDs. I think the exception, I don't think I reviewed anything. No, I didn't review anything from Crack the Sky. That was the only one. I think the only one I didn't review anything from. But it was amazing. That was the second time I saw that band, IQ, and
oh yeah, they were excellent. And Glass Hammer.
Glass Hammer, yeah. That was the first and only time I'd seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Fido. He it was like seeing a fellow Angeles person on the other side of the country.
Yeah, cool. A lot of different backgrounds. Really cool.
Yeah, and that was the first prog concert that festival I went to on the East Coast. Because the ones before that, I've been to the ones that were in LA, and then I've been to the one down in Mexico a few times, and it was just kind of neat to, the atmosphere was slightly different, and I want to say a little more friendlier than it was out west. Kind of just felt, especially on the after show, when they back at the hotel where the bands were there in that little lobby area, I thought that was kind of cool that they actually.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I totally forgot about that. They had that, kind of a pre-prog fest where bands could get together and jam in the lobby.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was fun, I got to talk to a lot of them, and then of course, got to talk to you at the venue, and Angie says she still has the picture with you two.
Pictures. I
And
have Facebook still, I believe, and in my phone. I saved them.
oh yeah, there's a lot of. I think I have a thing on my Facebook where it has some of the pictures that I took there, but they weren't really that great of pictures. I mean, I'm not really good with keeping my hands steady, so.
Well, I'm not very photogenic, so it's probably my fault.
Oh, I got one of you on stage where you're wearing the white cloak.
Oh, right, in the beginning for
Yeah.
and the pan piece that we did. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But that's part of the reason I love prog so much is that you can sing a variety of different styles of music, but also, in the band Persephone Stream, we also would put on a show with it. And we might have, the spinning turntable, or we worked with this awesome lighting guy who goes by Strobe. His real name is Jonathan Fleischman, and he's incredible with his, magnificent lights. And I was actually chuckling when I was watching Robert Barry in your last interview, when he was talking about singing opera, that, he, like him, I enjoy singing different styles. And that's why I think I love prog, because you can incorporate different styles.
Right.
He was talking about how he was forced to sing opera in college. And so he, stopped. He didn't really enjoy singing that style, but I can relate. I did study opera in college, and I still love opera, but at the time I had been singing it so much. Then I went to New York and I was singing it there. And
Right.
Eventually it did, when you're forced to do something, I started losing my passion for that. And I started realizing that. And I said, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not having fun anymore with this. And I don't want to lose my passion for opera. And now I miss it because I have gotten away from it. And that's when I started to try, different styles, writing different music. And, something I was always criticized for was the fact that, if I let someone hear my music, a producer or somebody that worked for a record company, they'd be like, you're all over the map. You have all kinds of different styles. And it's like, well, I'm a singer-songwriter. I write what I'm feeling at that particular time. And I love a variety of different styles. It's like, it's my passion. And, if I'm feeling a certain way, that's what I want to convey. And I would feel like I'm selling myself out if I did something just so, oh, hey, you'll get famous this way, you'll have more fans this way. That was never my intent. If somebody loves my music, that's great, but I've always just done what I love.
I think that's fantastic, because there's one thing to be good at what you're doing, and then you have something where people, all they want is fame and fortune. And like you said, then you're kind of forced into little boxes, it's like, okay, well, you can only sing that kind of music for the rest of your life. You can't change it up. You can't, or it's, either the record label will turn on you or the fans will turn on you. And it's like, but the one thing I love about progressive rock is that everybody sings from right here.
And there's something for everyone. Yep.
And that's, especially when you have a great voice like yours that
Yeah.
that you can do, and if anybody that has not listened to your singing on Persephone's Dream, especially on that last album you told me about was that Red Light?
Red light syndrome. Yes.
Yeah, especially on that one. That is that was a very unique way of how you vocalized everything, and it's like when you told me that that's how you did it, I was like, I had to go listen to it to see exactly what you were saying, and it's like that was a very how some bands, that complex prog bands, how they do that with their instrumentation. You were
Right.
doing that with your voice. You were doing the different, all basically, like you said, all over the map, but you were doing it with control, because there's some people that can be all over the map and they have no idea what they're doing.
Well, for that song, and just to give the viewers a quick synopsis, and I think I told you prior to this conversation that there was a long time inside joke with the band Persephone's Dream. We'd always joke that we'd be so ready, we'd be ready to record this song, and then we go into the recording booth, and as soon as that red light goes on, everything goes out the window. We forget what we're doing, we're playing horribly or singing horribly, and just forgetting what we wanted to do, because our nerves get the better of us. And I think that's a lot of people, when they're put on the spot, are it's just hard. You see that red light, like right now I'm on the air with you, Ron, and
right.
Feeling a little jittery, butterflies, and you're not thinking as clearly. So we wanted to write a song to kind of convey that thought. So the lyrics are I kind of wrote them to be kind of tongue-in-cheek, just
right.
jokingly, and then there's some banter between Rowan and myself in the vocal booth, and he's like, I think you need to try that again. And I'm like, well, can't we just fix that in the mix, right. But it's, the whole song's meant to be chaotic, and I worked in some dissonant chords in there, and it's just kind of like your state of being is like, I'm so nervous and out of control right now. How, of course it's way over the top in the song, but it kind of conveys the message, and I think a lot of musicians will be able to relate to it as well.
Well, I like, how in that band, I mean, you have that, complex and chaotic, like you said, and then you have some more melodic stuff. So it's like you can hear the range especially on that album. You can hear the range of your vocals, where it go from the one side to the other side, and it's sometimes some vocals get themselves pigeonholed into a certain style, and they or they get too comfortable with singing a certain way, and they never want to branch out and do something slightly different. And I honestly think it's just the same with musicians. I honestly think when you just stay within the certain style, I think after a while you kind of get a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
But then your fans are expecting that, because that's all you
certain thing.
And it's like, you want, oh my God, I want to do something different, but I don't want to disappoint people, because I got so much other range that I can do, and I just don't want to disappoint anybody. But I think when you at the get-go, if someone does that and you shows your different ranges of what you're doing, I think that then the fans know, okay, well, it's like, here's someone that she can sing the most complex music, or she could just sit there singing maybe like just a soft song with maybe a piano or an acoustic guitar accompanying her. It's like you can do, and to me I like that much better than if someone just does one style.
Yeah, I definitely like to sing. I don't, and we went into this when we were writing this last album. We didn't want one song to sound like the next. And I think, you know, they're all very talented musicians, and I was very fortunate, you know, to be singing with them, but we were all on the same page with that. And it's so cool to work with people that are so creative, you know, and you kind of have the same vision as far as the music. And yeah, it's I'm gonna miss them, but yeah, like I said at the time, my aunt was going through a hard time. It was right after the album was finished,
Right.
and aunt was going through a real hard time, and I went to stay with her to help her during chemo and everything. And I was commuting back and forth from there in Pittsburgh. And it just made sense that, hey, I can't do everything I've been doing up to this point. My one regret, though, is because soon after we finished the album, I ended up getting in a bad car accident and had to get surgery. So we were going to postpone the show. So I never did get to do the show because then, you know, things, I went to help be with my aunt and help her. And then, you know, just worked out that way. But oh, that's life for you.
Right.
Life happens when you're making other plans.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, but you know, your health is more important, you know, and taking care of family is more important.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, would you ever hook back up with them, or are they on a certain path that?
Well, at this point, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know the future, but you know, right now I'm focusing on my own music, and I have some projects in the works, and you know, working at Tonic Recording Studio here locally in Pittsburgh. There's some projects coming up there I'm going to be involved in, and mostly during COVID, I've just been writing, recording.
Yeah, you told me about an '80s song that you did.
Oh, that's right. My friend Zane Hirschberger, he contacted me, and he does a lot of films locally in the area, and he does a lot of '80s films as well. And he asked me if I would be willing to write an '80s song, and I said, sure, I'd love to. And I said, well, usually when I record, or I mean, when I go to write a song, I start playing a melody on my guitar and come up with it that way. But I'm like, for '80s, I think I want to go more with the keyboards and the synth pop sound. So
Right.
I recorded all the instruments here, and then did the vocals, the leads and the backing track at Tonic Recording Studio. And I'm pretty happy with it right now, and they seem to like it. They're putting it in their song, or I'm sorry, in their movie called Treaters, which is it's a movie that takes place on Halloween night, and these girls are legend hunters, and they decide to go out on an adventure on Halloween night, and they come across these ghoul killers. I might have that wrong. I know it's I haven't actually seen it. I've seen the trailer for it, but these girls come across these ghouls that try to sacrifice these girls, these legend hunters, to what they call the treaters, which is very, very it's scary, and yeah, it's a horror movie. So but it looks really good from what I've seen and what Zane has shared with me. But him and Sable Greedle, she's the lead actress in it, or one of the lead actresses. They actually co-wrote this movie together and directed it together. So it's very exciting. I'm guessing it's going to premiere. They haven't set a date. I do believe it's going to be premiered in Irwin, and trying to remember the name of the theater he told me. I think it might be, I'm going to say the Lamp Theater. I might have that wrong. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be premiered. Check it out. Treaters by Zane Hirschberger and Sable Greedle.
I think that's fantastic when you you do soundtracks, whether it's one song or the whole soundtrack. Because even though you said you're doing it's an '80s style, but going back to Prague, it's like Prague and film kind of go hand in hand because of the theatrics, whether it's whether you have a front person that's like yourself, that you were wearing that white cloak and you had like a certain image that you were portraying, or if it's just the music that is the theatrics. I mean, because there's so many bands that combine theatrics with their music, whether it's prog or rock, especially in the '70s. That was a big thing. I mean, I don't think anybody there was few rock bands and prog bands that weren't having any theatrics on their stage, But it's cool. I mean, I really like that, and glad that at least you're doing that. So maybe that could be your, as your solo part, you can go in that direction, because
I've been to all possibilities, but I agree with you. I think performance is 75% visual. And I think that's something as performers, we always should remember that, hey, it's not just, people are watching you too. It's not just, and yes, sometimes you just want to lay low and it's just about the music, but other times you can make a visual.
Oh yeah, especially if you have a good concept behind the song or the whole album, that you want, that it's like, you have to have some sort of visual going on, whether it's the lead singer, in a costume, or if you got a film running behind you, or if you have I've seen stuff where they have actors doing things on the stage, so it's like it's just that's the one thing with prog, is that it's just the possibilities are endless of what you can do, and having the theatrics in it, it just brings it, gives it a little bit more to it, but at the same time it could take away from the music, like I'm sure you've heard, like what's it, Peter Gabriel in Genesis, where it was kind of cool what he did, but I think some of the stuff, I think I was reading that some of the band members were like going, kind of rolling their eyes, and it's like, let's just play the music, it's like, so, it goes either way,
Right. Well, I think too, if you're trying to do too much, then are you still able to perform it as well too?
Right.
So that into consideration. It's it's a lot to think about, but if everybody's tight and you can pull it off, and then the audience is like, we don't know what to expect next, and then they're just blown away because they don't know what's coming, and it gives it an extra level of excitement that you may not typically have at a regular concert.
Right. And also, it's also too, it's like, I think the music is what is going to dictate what goes on the stage, because I've seen bands that are are energetic, and you can feel their energy, and they feed off the audience, and they're going back and forth. And then I've seen some bands that they're just standing there and doing nothing, just playing their instrument and doing nothing. And the singer is just there singing, not doing anything. You can't see any emotion, no body movement, maybe once in a while kind of shifting, but it's like, to me, that kind of a band, while they may be proficient in their instrument and the instruments and their singer is, top notch, they don't have a stage presence. It's that kind of, takes away from the whole experience. So it's like, I think you need to have a stage presence more than anything, whether it's you're getting into the music or if you have some theatrics going on.
Right. Nope. I agree completely. And for me, I grew up in music because both my parents are musicians, and they actually met in a band together. And
Oh, wow.
but my dad for years was he had his own band, the Contrails, and I used to go to his concerts, locally around here. And, his big hit from 1966 was Someone, but he was with Jimmy Beaumont and the Skyliners, a doo-wop band,
Oh,
for years.
wow.
So I got to see that, and they all have great stage presence when you watch them. Those doo-wop bands, especially.
Right, right.
So I tried to learn, or at least my parents kind of instilled in me that, hey, it's important to have a good stage presence when you perform. Like, I know you're nervous, but put everything you have into it.
Well, I've noticed, I've seen where people are like, it's like night and day, when they're a performer, that off stage they could be nervous as hell, and then they get on stage and all of a sudden like something snaps, and then it's like showtime, and then they get off stage and they're like shaking and everything, and like, I can't believe I just did that, and it's like, I think people can channel their energies really well.
Mhm.
And if it would, honestly, for me, I have never really been, I tried playing guitar in third grade. My teacher, he, after summertime, he's folk songs. So I got to, I was going to learn a lot of the folk songs. I was like, oh, this would be fun. My parents couldn't afford a guitar, so they got their friend who was in the church choir. She had a 12 string. Now, trying to learn folk songs on a 12 string was
Tough.
unbearable. I couldn't figure it out. All these extra strings, I was going, why? So I got discouraged early on, so I never pursued it. Now, I think had I learned on a proper 6 string, it could have been a different story. But so from then on, I was like, okay, didn't think about music again until my 20s. Music before I was 20 years old was just something you heard on the radio. I didn't care who it was. It didn't matter to me. But like I told, is my story. It's like 1980 was basically the year that music started to matter to me, because a friend of mine at my birthday party gave me the cassette of Rush Permanent Waves. And from then on, I was like going, okay, that was like my foot right in the door. It wasn't really until almost 13 years later, that I dove right in, into music.
Take that right album it just conveys a certain emotion in you, and you're like, I get it now. This is so cool. And it instills, an emotion in you that you didn't know you had before.
Yeah, and there's like, I went through so many different phases in the 80s, up until like right after I graduated high school, about a year and a half later, a friend of mine who was really into heavy metal, I went over to his house and he was playing all this stuff. Some of it was awful. But then he had a record player, and then he put on Metallica, Ride the Lightning, and all of a sudden it was like, that light goes off in your head, and it's like, oh my God. So for the next, I want to say 4 years, that's all I listened to is that kind of music. Anything that I listened before, it was like it wasn't worthy. And then I did that again from about 93 to almost the end of the decade when it came to progressive rock. I would only listen to that. I would not listen to anything. At that point, I got rid of the CDs that were any metal CDs and pop CDs, whatever. I got rid of them, because that wasn't important to me anymore. But it wasn't until recent times, within the past almost 20 years, that I'm slowly going back to those early days and feeling like going, why did I get rid of this? This was so good.
For it, yeah.
Some things that I only had on cassette and then to get first time on CD. So it's like whenever I hear people just saying, oh, I only listen to one kind of music, I said, you're really missing out. I mean, there's only two kinds of music that I don't like, and I heard them, is country music, especially the newer one, and rap. It just doesn't connect with me,
Doesn't for you.
And but I like other kinds of music, I like some of the older, like the Motown stuff. I like that because it's just something about it that, even though it sounds simple, but then when you really sit down and listen to it, it's very complex on how their arrangement and how. So it's like, I can see why there's a lot of people that are in prog bands that like Motown, because they're especially where they're doing that wall of sound. It's like, it's just so amazing that
a lot of their, and I can tell you this because my dad, he's an arranger, and he used to do a lot of the arrangements. He did arrangements for, I know, Connie Francis, Frankie Ford. I'm not sure if he did arrangements for him. I might be mixing him up with somebody else, but I know for PBS he did a lot of arrangements, and he spent a lot of time on them and making sure the vocals were what he wanted to hear. And they just, I feel like some of the older music, you really hear that how much, like you were saying, how much time they spent into that, and the vocal harmonies and having instruments or a violin come in certain areas. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. And for that kind of music where they're using a lot of orchestral backing, and it was just amazing how that it fit so well with the R&B sound, just a combination of those two. It was just like just a perfect fit. And so it's like, you got to listen to as much as you can. And there's going to be some styles that you're not really interested in. Do I hate those country and rap? No, I just don't. They don't work for me. They don't give me the same connection that a lot of rock and prog and pop music do. I mean, I kind of surprised Angie that I liked some of the 80s bands that she liked. So it's like, and I said, but I grew up the same time as you, so I was exposed to very similar. whereas she likes the more the stuff that they used to play like on MTV and things like that. She likes
Right.
that style. And I tend to like the more, I like some of that, but I tend to like the stuff that has a little more to it, you know, whereas like it wasn't manufactured,
Extreme, more of the stuff that you kind of have to dig for.
Oh yeah. And it's like you can have I wouldn't say complex, but you could have an amazing arrangement on a very simple song, that it's like, especially if you can layer things, but I think the only downside with bands that did that, like the Beach Boys, where they did Pet Sounds, where this is just this big with all these musicians and stuff like that. It's like, now, how do you take that out on the road? That's the one thing I always I never understood in some music where if it was a band that had one guitar in it and they did you know
20 layers.
rhythm
Yeah.
and rhythm and lead, and it's like, well, how are they going to do that live and still, especially let's say they're a power trio, how are they going to stay a power trio and do that? It's like, I really think it's, if you're going to have just three instruments, just do the three instruments, don't.
Well, the good news is now with the invention of all this technology and, people looping things, and you have the sequencers and what is it, the MIDI disc, and you can put all that and have it pre-programmed. And some people are like, well, that's cheating. It's like, well, no, not if we've pre-recorded it. It's still us, but it gives us a
Exactly.
live, so we can get, as close to the recording live, as but there's something to be said too for having it sound differently live. Do it a little different, so that
exactly.
it works. And then you're not hearing exactly what's on the album. You're hearing something different, which is what, they're paying for. Who wants to go to a concert and everything is, note for note exactly the same as the album? Well, I'll just listen to my CD then. So.
Exactly. That's what I believe in too. Is like, I really think when a band goes note for note playing live, it's not really worth me paying them. I've already bought their CD. Why, expand on it a little bit, but don't go too far, but just expand on it, especially if when they recorded it and they're thinking, oh, we should have done this, let's add this when we do live, or how it was originally intended, especially if, you go through different versions of the song and then you pick the one that, for time reasons. But then live, you can make that 4-minute song 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, you can, as long as it sounds interesting,
Right.
Again, too, it's like, I think with prog, it seems like a lot of the bands and a lot of the fans seem to think that on every album they have to have a really long song, and it's like, but if the band doesn't feel it that time when they're writing the album, they shouldn't force themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, because there's, and then I think in the early '90s, I heard a lot of bands that they, it really kind of sounded like they attached songs together to, because again, we got to have that 20-minute song on our album. It was almost like it was a requirement, and it's like, it's only a long song only works if it comes out naturally.
Right. Exactly. I had to get used to it when I first joined Persephone Stream, because all the songs were so long, and listening to the radio all the time, you get used to your 3 minute, what is it, 3 minutes 20 seconds is about the standard, or around that time. And I was like, wow, these songs are really long, but it's not like they're drawn out. They're natural because they're going different directions, and it's really cool. It warrants the length, because to hear everything going on.
Right.
But like you said, if it's not natural, then there's no need to extend it. You're just jamming at that point.
Yeah, and it's like, and then I've heard quite a few songs that were in that 3 minute, 20 minute mark, or a little bit under, that are just as complex as songs that are the 20 minute mark. So it's
Exactly.
like, so I don't think it should be the only thing it should be a requirement in prog is it sounds good. That's all.
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't
said,
hear you.
oh, that the only requirement I think it should be is that the music sounds good, that it comes
Oh,
out naturally. Because if it's not natural, it just I don't know. The audience doesn't feel something, and it's like,
don't want to have a
uh,
bunch of listeners cringing, like, what's going on here? So
exactly. I mean, I love getting, like I said, different styles of music now. I'm more open, at my age now, I'm more open than I was 30 years ago.
mhm.
Uh, and it's good, and it's also sad at the same time, because I missed out on a lot of stuff when it was coming out originally, like stuff in the late 80s and the 90s, so I kind of playing a lot of catch up on things, and Facebook has really been fantastic for that. People recommending things all the time, um, and people putting up posts about, oh, I got this CD, or I was just listening to this CD that I got years ago, and it brings back memories. And especially when they talk about it and they give you a link so you can go and hear it, because I do have quite a few friends that basically, when they recommend something, it's been like 99% uh, perfect recommendation. And but then there's a few that it's like when they tell me about it and then I go listen to it, I was like, going, well, it's just not, doesn't, I don't feel it. But thank you for telling me about them. I appreciate it, and it's cool that you like them, but it
Right. And it's
just
cool
doesn't
that,
do anything.
yeah, it's cool that you're open to listening to everything as well. With I'm a DJ as well, and I try to listen to everything. And I know a lot of times when I'm DJing, I'll play things I know people want to listen to. But what's cool is things they're not aware of, I can bring into the mix too. And just, people start to have an appreciation for new things. And I think, maybe you did miss out when you were younger, but I think too, we get wiser with age, which is one of
Yeah.
the best, and we're more open to things. We see things differently. And, some of the things that I did appreciate when I was younger, I might see it in a new light now,
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there's something to be said for that too. And
And also, well, like you were saying that you're DJing, especially, okay, I think there could be two types. There'd be types where people want you to play something, but then the other type is when you play a certain style of songs and they go, well, I'm coming here to see what she's going to be putting on, you
yeah,
know, and because every time I come see her, it's like all the music that she puts on, I like. And it's outside of my comfort zone, but I like it. And I think a lot of people are too afraid to come out of their comfort zone. whether they're a performer or a or a fan, you know. And I used to have, like I told you, I used to have two waves of comfort zones that I wouldn't come out of them, and it kind of, in a way, a little ashamed at that, because now I tell people, it's like, don't have that music tunnel vision where that's all you're going to listen to, because you're going to miss out.
Right. Yep.
You really, and
Try new things. It's going to open other doors. You just never know what, try different directions. Just see, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but at least you tried and and it might inspire something great.
oh yeah, other thing too is when you get people that recommend you things, you start going down that rabbit hole. Then when you hear one thing, and then I don't know about you, but whenever I get into a band, I go online and I look to see if they have a Wikipedia page. And then they'll go and they'll have, you learn about them, and they say, oh, well, the band, they were involved with this other band, or, members were in this other band. So it's like, it's a rabbit hole. And
Really small world too, because once you start getting into music, like when I first joined my first band in Pittsburgh, it's like those people know these people. They introduce you to someone that I'm doing a music project, this person. And it's like everybody's kind of interconnected and knows everybody. It's really
right.
cool way.
Well, I think that's a great way, because then, maybe you don't do anything with a certain person right now, but maybe down the line, it's like, oh, I remember Heidi. She sang, but at the time she was part of Persephone's dream. So, I really couldn't, didn't really feel right to take her away from that. But now that she's solo, maybe, so it's like, as long, you keep your contacts, for everybody in your,
It's really cool because it's through, well, there's Persephone's Dream, and then another prog band heard of me from PD. So then I was in New Eden Orchestra, and then I decided I wanted to do more gigs and auditioned for a local band, Mercedes, which is a dance cover band. And that was fun, to do that on the weekends. And yeah, it's really cool. I got into an a cappella band for a little bit, Double Shot here in Pittsburgh. So that was a lot of fun. And I did a couple shows with them and some recordings, which was really cool. So yeah, you just don't know. I say for any musician or vocalist that's, struggling to get work, just put yourself out there. And, once you have one opportunity, like for Persephone's Dream, that's kind of a funny story. I found an ad on Craigslist with their phone number that they were looking for a vocalist at the time. And I contacted them and got an audition with them. But it's funny because no one in the band remembered writing that article. So,
oh my gosh.
that was like the big mystery. Like, how did we find her? Where did that ad come from? So I don't know. Maybe it was, a friend of somebody, but it was just kind of this funny mystery.
Yeah. I was just looking in the chat room. There's a guy in there, Tony Romero. He's on the same label as Persephone's Dream.
Oh, cool. Hi, Tony. I know Tony. I know him through other friends. He's friends with my friends.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. He said Roland is a good guy.
Yes, he is.
So, yeah, like you said, it's a small world. You get, and with the internet, it does make it very small, because, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, You can do things like Facebook, Zoom, Twitter, all these things you can do to keep in contact with people. I mean, Facebook has their own chat room set up. So it's like, you can, like if you have friends from all over the country and, too expensive for everybody to come visit you, go on video, talk with your friends that way.
Yeah, technology isn't perfect, but there's truly a lot of benefits to it, that you can connect to people from all over the world. And, it's just, there's so many possibilities. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I when friend of mine, Sean Toner, he started doing his shows last May. So I think it's at May 3rd, it's his 1 year anniversary. So, and I started mine November 4th. I wanted to start it earlier, but I couldn't get into it. And so then I was, with Zoom, I was like going, okay, this is fantastic. I bought the Zoom Pro where you can talk as long as you want. Now, if you had the basic, they give you like a 40-minute cap, which is fine if it's a business type of a Zoom. But if you wanted to do stuff like this or personal, that you don't want to have a time restriction, it's nice to do that way. And like I've met so many different people on doing this Zoom. Kept in, I was in contact with them beforehand on Facebook, but then do Zoom, it was like the next best thing to being with them in person to talk to them,
Right.
And Tony said he started his I think you have a radio station. I think Tony does DJing online. It's been doing it since 2009.
Wasn't Rowan was on his show, I believe.
Oh, yeah,
Before the Pan album was released. That's the one where I wasn't on that album, but that was right before I joined, I believe.
Yeah, because I was reading online, what is it? Prog Archives. And I like to look, that's another resource, because they tell you who's in the band and everything. And they give you the studio albums, and some of the reviews I could do without, because some of them are a little snobby, and a little too hypercritical of things. It's like if a prog band has too much pop music in it, sometimes some of the the more snobby prog fans, they put their nose up to it, and it's like they don't like it. And it's like, again, it's like you're pigeonholing you're putting yourself in a little box of that's all you're going to listen to. Listen to something else. Hey,
Well,
not every.
I like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I like on your show, because you come out and say, I'm doing this from a fan's perspective, not somebody that is so hypercritical of every little nuance in the music. And I think that's really cool. And I think most people will be able to relate to that style of a review.
Oh yeah, when I was doing the reviews on my site, I like I said, well, like basically like what you said, it was from a fan's perspective. I'm not a journalist by any means. So I wanted it to be where you got to hear the fans' point of view of what was what they liked about the music. Just the same as with here, I've seen a lot of interview shows where the interviewer asks the guest questions, and you can tell that when they answer the question, there's something else they want to add to it, but then the interviewer asks the next question and doesn't let them expand upon it. And with what I wanted to do is basically this. This is two friends talking music, and one of them just happens to be a musician and the other one a fan. So, I like it like that where people, you get your information, but you feel like you're eavesdropping into a conversation.
Right.
And
it opens your eyes to the musician's world. If you're not being so hypercritical of every little thing, you're like appreciating it, but you're understanding, what the musician is thinking as well when they're going through it.
oh yeah, and I think what it is I've had people that I try to get on, and it's very difficult. But then I got people like yourself that, yes, I ask a question, you want to do it, and you go yes. It's like I understand some bands that are in labels, they have their publicity agents that they have to go through, or their managers and things like that. I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, here's a chance that you can talk about your music. You can get a slightly different audience, because, once I finish, doing it live, I put it up on my YouTube channel. So if anybody misses anything, they're able to watch it again. And, so it's twofold, you get the live show and you get the rebroadcast. Yeah. But, I and it's a platform for you to promote yourself too.
Right.
Whereas, it doesn't cost anything. You just, when you talk about, Persephone's dream, talk about your solo stuff, and things you've done in the past. And, hopefully we should, if you have anything brewing for the future, things like that. So where you can let people know what's going on in the world of Heidi.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on your show. This is really nice. Thanks, Ron.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. I've loved the Persephone's dreams that you were on. And I even loved it more that I got to actually see you perform that music up on stage. It's not often, you get to see bands do that, especially in Prague. I mean, because, now where we have, unfortunately with the pandemic, everything was just shut down. I mean, we got things that are starting back up next year, or is it Rossfest, and then that Cruise to the Edge, I think those are the only two current prog festivals in, I want to say, Northern America. I don't think there's anything in Canada going on. I think the one Baja Prague in Mexico stopped a few years ago, if I'm mistaken. So the only prog festivals, really, the big ones, is, you got Rossfest and Cruise to the Edge. I mean, you have ones that do one-nighters, but those are the only ones. So it's like all these prog bands, they got to send in their applications to get to play on that. So they may not get to play, the one year. So, they try again for the next year. So it's like, well, might never get to see a band live because of that. I mean, and unfortunately, that's also oh yeah, Prague Stock. Um, that's a relatively new one, I believe. Maybe in the past decade, if I'm not mistaken.
Familiar, but I've
Um,
never been.
that's I think that's in New Jersey.
That sounds right.
But one thing with progressive rock music is no band seems to want to come up to Maine. It seems to be like a wasteland. I mean,
Oh, crazy.
granted, granted, north of me, the population uh, goes down from double-digit thousands down to single, and then if you get really further north, there's actually maybe like under 1,000 people. So it's basically it's down from Bangor down to Portland. You know, Portland being the big city. I mean, if anything, that would be the city that any prog band would want to go play because I might get a better audience there. And but then also too is like if you wanted to lure in people from Canada, you know, since Maine is right up there, you know, you can get some of the people from Canada in. So, you know, I think a few years back I was trying to convince some people to do something up here, but it never went through. I mean, and I just think I don't know if there's that many bands up here in Maine that would really be into the music. Um, and so, would you know? I understand it wouldn't be economical for a festival to do something up here. I mean, it seems to be Pennsylvania, um, New York, New Jersey, you know, Florida, and then California and Washington State seem to be the ones that had festivals, you know, and um, uh, Robert said, a guy in the audience room said he said Prague Stock in New Jersey.
Oh, it is New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
So
you could host the event, Ron.
I need money for that. You know, that's that's the downside. And I, you know, because I've seen several, you know, Prague festivals that had gone under because, you know, it was just so costly and, you know, their profit margins were in the negatives so long, you know, like the one out in California, Prague Fest, the original one out in California. It was started in '93, and the last one was in 2000. Just after that, I guess you couldn't handle it. And then they had right after that there was to take up the mantle was Prague West, and after two years that went under, and then they had Cal Prague. And I know I think they started in 2006, and I don't remember when they ended, but I think maybe 2012,
Hmm.
2014, somewhere in that area. It's just the thing is too is with a festival like Rossfest, and then um, is no matter what, it seems like no matter what the promoter personal taste is, he or she, you know, wants to make sure that he gets in people. So he has to cater to different things, different styles. You know, you could have the prog rock, prog pop, prog metal. You know, just whatever that is going to bring in an audience. That's what he's caters to. But his personal preferences has to be put aside. And that's what I think happened with Prog West and Cal Prog. I think that the promoters of those were only bringing in bands that they personally wanted to see. And
the crowd.
yeah, and I mean, hey, that's nice. Then, do a personal concert for yourself. Bring in those bands and, invite a few friends over and, split the cost to have these bands in. But, you need to have a variety. And that's what was it? On the East Coast, you had Near Fest. That had a nice variety.
Right.
The one down in, I believe it's North Carolina, Prague Day, the same thing. It had a nice variety. You just can't have all the bands that all sound alike. It's like it gets boring. It's like, oh, I really like this band. Oh, there's the other band that sounds in the same area as them, and it's like you got four more. It's like that could be tiresome if you have no variety.
Right. No, I totally agree.
And with your music, with it when you were in Persephone's Dream, there was a variety. I mean, there was a how they say, a signature sound,
Mhm.
but you had variety to it. It's like whatever it is you did, it was still Persephone's Dream, regardless. If you went a little heavier or a little softer, it was still the same band. It's still, you still knew it was Persephone's Dream. So it's like that's a good thing, at least for my ears. I like that when the band can retain their core sound, their signature sound, and then kind of expand on it, branch out, and learn, and try slightly different things. It's like that's one of the things that attracts me to bands is that aspect of how they.
Me too. I was immediately attracted to them right away because they can do the heavy stuff, the spacey stuff, and I can incorporate, opera maybe in one song, or maybe this sounds a little, more metal, or, and I can sing different styles of music. And that's, why I loved Prague to begin with, is that it allows for, a variety. And you can make it as unique or mainstream sounding as you would like. And that's what's really cool about it.
Oh yeah. And then with you have the different ranges that you can do, that also opens you up to, it's like, okay, like you did your prog stuff, now you're doing this, you did that 80s song, it's basic. You can just, with the different vocal sounds, you could do so much more, and you're not going to just be known as the prog singer. You're going to be known as the singer, the one that can do all the different styles. You can, like I said earlier, you can do a stripped down song where you're just singing. You got either a piano player or a acoustic guitarist accompanying you. That's, to me, I think that's where you can see if a singer really has the talent, is if he doesn't have any of the background noises and just an accompaniment, and then their voice.
Right.
And that's,
for me, I like to try everything. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to succeed at it, but I like to try everything. And maybe I write a song in, another genre that I'm not really particularly comfortable with, but, I tried it. And if the song comes out good, maybe I give it to somebody else who is, who is a little better in that area. So I think, there's something to be said for just go for it. Even if you don't think you can do it, just try it, because you never know. And the more you write, I feel like the more you're going to be comfortable with your own unique style and what you have to bring to the table, so just, keep working. And I always encourage, other musicians and other singers, or really in any field, this, always work with people that are better than yourself. Work with somebody that's, that understands, that can help you to grow. That's obviously, you don't want to be around negative people that are going to drag you down and,
Right.
big egos, but you want to be around somebody that's going to take you to the next level. And
Exactly.
and they're going to force you to step out of your comfort zone and, try something you normally wouldn't try.
Exactly. And it's like, for me, if you don't, you need some, like you say, something better, but I would almost say someone is going to push you, where you just go, I can't do this, I can't do it. And the other person knows, based on what they've heard coming near your voice, and they know you can't do it, and then they push you. They push you in such a positive way that you don't get discouraged, because if they push, sometimes if you get pushed in the wrong way, you just basically said, I'm done,
Right.
So it's like you have to have very positive encouragement that will make, that, and pushing you, it's like, no, I can't get that, I can't do that, I can't. Yes, you can. And then push you, and then you find out that you can.
Yeah, I feel like that takes a certain amount of empathy, where you have to understand, what's this person's viewpoint of their own performance, where are they coming, what's their perspective, and understanding that is going to help you know how you can influence them. Because maybe with some people you have to push them a little harder, and other people you need to be a little more gentle with, to
Right.
get where they want to be. So
Exactly.
I think, just understanding where somebody's coming from is real big with me. So
Right. Now, you said, you did on that song that you did the instrumentation. What was it? Just the guitar and keyboards, or?
it was mostly keyboards, beats that I programmed, and some I played. But I wanted that 80s synth pop, and I was thinking more Jets or Jody Watley, but a couple people have said to me it sounds a little bit like Paula Abdul too, which I'm cool with, because I really loved her back in the day, and my cousins and I used to come up with dance routines and everything to her music. So I wanted it to be something fun that people were like, oh yeah, this sounds 80s. And this summer, as the weather gets nicer, we're going to be shooting a music video. And actually, one of the directors from the movie that it's in, Treaters, he's going to be, and possibly Sable maybe as well, but they're going to film this. And the cast is also going to be in the music video. So.
And what about you?
I'll be in it, yes.
Oh, okay. So you're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of interesting, since you said it was a horror movie. It'd be really interesting that an idea you could put it's like where you're singing, and then mayhem is going on behind you.
Yeah, we could do that. More like, well, I'm open to all ideas right now, because I have to sit down and like lay out how it's going to go. But I'm thinking kind of it like a Cyndi Lauper style music video. If you remember the one, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, where everybody outside and just having a good time, some crazy 80s dancing. And yeah, I want it to be fun and funny, and maybe they do something that correlates to the movie Treaters as well, but the cast is going to be, might have them act out some things as well. So it's going to be fun. I want to see if I can get a lot of extras in this one, and a lot of my friends are interested in being in it. So I think
that's
a good time.
Oh yeah, to say that you've been in a music video, it's like, That's actually pretty cool, you know, especially nowadays. I mean, on such a low budgets, you can make these fantastic looking videos.
Oh, yeah, I'm amazed even by some of the video apps I've seen and, have messed around with just, being silly. But yeah, it's really quite affordable anymore to do these things.
Oh yeah, and you could basically just get like nowadays just a basic video camera and apps are programmed on your computer and edited and everything. I tried editing some older videos of mine. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. It just it's a little for me it's a little confusing. I mean, so for other people it's like, you know, a breeze, you know, they go, oh well, I just press this button, that button, and boom, I got a good video. Um, so what I do is for when I do an occasional CD review, um, on Zoom, you can have the picture of something at a view. You have a picture up. So I just put a picture of the album cover and then I just talk over it because I'm a firm believer that if I'm talking about something, I'm not the focus of the discussion. It's the CD, or if I'm talking about a movie or something like that. I want people their attention to be about what the movie is about, not what I'm doing. Because I've seen many videos where people are being all um, dramatic about the thing, you know, doing crazy intros about the movie and or the CD, and it's like, you know, or the other thing. This is the funny thing that I always got a kick out of when I did the reviews and I read other sites. It was one time, I don't know who it was, I don't remember what CD it was. The guy was describing as I sat down on my chair and I put the CD into the CD player. Um, I had my favorite beverage, and it's like, who cares? Tell me about the CD. Don't tell me about what you did to get to putting the CD player in. You know, it's like that's to me that's useless information. So you know, whenever I do, like I said, the occasional CD review, I focus on the album cover.
You get
That's
to the stuff right away.
exactly, you know, and it's like I don't give any analogies. You know, I just give you the information. You know, and let you decide whether or not you want to buy it. You know,
Right.
and just the same here with this. I've seen shows where they have um, their logo floating around here or something like that, and they do some crazy intro. Kind of like a talk, like a late night talk show intro where the guy said, it's like, okay, if you got enough to talk about, yeah, but I just as soon listen to what you know whoever's being interviewed. I want to listen to that. You know, it's I think um, how did they used to say it? Let the music do the talking. Let the person that creates the music let them do the talking. Let them tell you what's going on with their music. Give them the freedom that some talk shows don't give you. You know, because then you're able to open up and you can tell people about things. That probably normally would never discuss. Because the interviewer is asking certain questions. And I'm sure sometimes some of them will send over their questions ahead of time, and you just answer basically what they ask, and you don't elaborate. And it's like, to me, that's no fun. it's no fun, because you feel it, it's going back to what you said earlier. You feel pressured into doing a job,
Right.
and it should be about, should be something relaxed, and you don't feel like you're, nervous, like you're at your job, it's like, oh, what if I answer this wrong, and it's
Girl,
like,
at me.
there's really no wrong things you can say on here, because as long as you just talk about your music, I'm really glad that you did, because like I said, I really really liked the stuff that you did, and especially the live performance was.
Right.
Now, did they ever film that or record that?
Uh, at the Three Rivers Prog Fest, are you talking about?
Yeah, or any of the other?
I think somebody had some, video clips. I don't know that it was professionally recorded, and I don't think that the entire show was. I know there's clips that people have posted here
Yeah,
and
I've seen some of those. Yeah, but it's like, because since it had a performance aspect to it, that would have been one, you know to have professionally done, um, you know because the one bad thing about Prague Festival in general for me is, okay, let's say like you got the one in Pennsylvania, but what if you got a fan that lives out in California, or a fan that lives in Japan or Australia, and they can't afford to fly over there?
right.
So having a concert video uh, recorded gives those fans a chance. Okay, well, I may not have gotten to see them live
Live.
in person, but at least I get to see their performance and how they sounded live.
Right.
And then the other thing too is, now with this Zoom thing, um, I know you can't do live, like remotely, because of I think someone was saying the latency issues, and
Right.
so, but I've seen a lot of, and I'm sure you have too on YouTube, a lot of those lockdown videos where they have different musicians, they record their different parts of the song, and they put it up, like almost like a Brady Bunch, thing where they got 6 squares going, or 5 squares. I think those are kind of cool, because that kind of keeps, nowadays that keeps, the audience, tells the audience we're still here, just because we're not out on the road, we're still here. But then also too, now, coming into the summertime, bands can record, put it out onto the internet. They can record their concerts. And actually, there was one, I think it was the the other night, a band from England called the Pineapple Thief. They did a live thing in their studio, and they sold tickets for it.
Oh,
So,
really? They sold tickets. Oh,
yeah, and they allowed you to. I think it was yesterday they did it, and they
was
allowed
it
you.
video or it was just in their studio?
I think it was in their studio. They had someone film it live for them, and it went over the internet.
Oh, that's very cool.
So, I mean, we have so now, like you said, with the technology, we have so much that we can do. And especially if you do that, record, whether it's live or you pre-record it, um, you can reach fans that may not be able to see you in person.
Right.
And um, the downside, I think, for the band itself, they can't feed off of the energy of the person on the other side of the camera. Um, we don't know what fans, are they cheering or are they booing? We don't know what's going on. I think the only other way to do something like that is if they have if it's like a Zoom type of a thing where they turn on their cameras and so that the band can see the audience, but
Like
that could get,
have 50 million viewers.
I think that would be too chaotic.
Yeah, be a little difficult for I don't know if I mean, you'd have to have a really good internet service that could keep up with all the video.
Oh yes,
But yeah,
but,
like there's really no substitution for being able to feed off the energy of an audience. There's just
I know.
no substitution for that.
Yeah, and I've only been to 2 festivals here on the East Coast. 3RP in 2009, and then I went to Ross Fest 2012. Only thing is that really gets me money-wise, the tickets to the shows are really cheap for what you're getting. I mean, 3 days of music for the last time I went, I think it was like $150. You can't beat that price. It's just the cost of the plane ticket and the hotel, which you're never in. I mean, I think the only time you're in the hotel is when you go to sleep. It's not like where you're on a vacation where you're utilizing the hotel as your base of operation. Going to a music festival, your base of operation is the music festival. You're just coming home back to crash until the next morning to get up to go back to the music festival. And that's when when I did Ross Fest, I did have a roommate, so the cost, it wasn't as bad, but there's a lot of different aspects. I mean, I kind of I envy the people that can go to all these concerts all over the world. I've seen these people that I'm like going, oh my God, I would love to do that. I love to do a tenth of the concerts that some of these people go to. But for me, like I said, Maine, just nothing really happening up here.
Yeah.
You get the what they call the greatest hits tours. Bands that haven't put out albums in over a decade, maybe even 2 decades, and they're just playing their hits that were on the radio and a couple other fan favorites, and that's it, and they don't. And it's like, what's pretty cool is there's a window right behind me, and if you open it, when I open it up and they have a concert, we have waterfront concerts.
Nice.
You can actually hear it. I'm close enough that I can hear it, and even though it's coming from a little bit further away, but I can still hear it. And there was a few times where I guessed who it was. I mean, I think we had last year, no, not last year, 2019, we had Def Leppard, and they really haven't put out something in a few years. So they're relying on their hits, which is not bad. It's just, I want to see a fresh band, something that you don't get to see every day,
Something new that catches your ear.
Exactly. And that's what I would love to be able to afford to go down to Florida to the Ross Fest, that they have, next year, but I wouldn't be able to afford it. Someone told me you could drive it. I said, I haven't driven past 1 hour. So it's like I couldn't drive that. What's that, about 10 or so hours? Oh.
Ron says hello, Christina.
Hi, sorry.
You're fine. See back here. You can go in there.
But it's a distance, but hopefully someone will do another festival in Pennsylvania again. Because that was pretty neat, going to Pittsburgh and then to Gettysburg.
I love it.
And when I came out here one time on the bus, we actually went, I believe, went through Pittsburgh and then Pennsylvania and then straight up, So I got to kind of see it, but not that much, But let's see. You got the 80s thing coming out, and you're gonna do that music video. Sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Especially when you involve the cast.
And the cast, the upcoming recording projects with, collaborative recording projects I have coming up, working on new songs with other artists. And then I'm doing some studio work and producing some backing vocals for one artist. And then maybe singing some songs for another songwriter as well. So
that's
some projects coming up.
Well, that's good. It kind of keep you busy, And then hopefully with whatever you do, when we're really allowed to do these, the live shows safely, hopefully you can be able to get out there and, whether it's with, your solo stuff or if you get involved with a band again, that can be kind of fun. Especially like, you've been involved with Persephone's Dream, especially on those 2 albums. You did some vocals on one of them that were
Fire of Dreams. Is that the one you're thinking
Yes,
of?
that's the one.
Yeah, that was right when I first joined Persephone's Dream, and they had recorded a good portion of that album already with an artist. Her name is Colleen Gray, and then they brought me in and they said, well, let's have Heidi on a couple of these songs also.
It's kind of neat when you have there's a lot of prog bands nowadays that have multi-singers on it, and it kind of gives a different dynamic for the songs. Like in June, I'm going to have 3 members from that band. I'm not sure if you heard of them or not.
Yes.
And
the 3 Rivers, either the same year as us or the year before. I can't remember. So I was there the year before as well.
I think they only did 2. Didn't they only 3 Rivers Prog only did 2 years, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, Howard Levy put on that show. Did a really good job. Really nice work.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking to them, and they got male and female singers on that, and it just has a dynamic that to it that it's just, to me, it's like it brings, when you have a female singer in prog, it kind of brings a new perspective of the song, because mostly prog is a male-oriented genre. So when you get a female singer in there, it's like, okay, now we're going to get a different perspective of the music, instead of just getting the male perspective all the time. It's primarily I mean, there wasn't that many in the 70s, many female fronted prog bands. I mean, I think the two that comes to mind is Renaissance and Curved Air.
Yeah, and then
But
there was
other than,
Kate Bush was kind of,
yeah, she was.
yeah,
You know, now she's to me in a way she's her own genre. She's just so amazing.
yeah, she really was an incredible songwriter and performer too. Although I heard that she liked recording more so than performing. I think she got away from performing. She said, I just want to record. I have to record.
Exactly. You know, and her music is that's why it too is like um you know the way her I think what do they call it, the different octaves that or the voice range, and you have different ones too, so it's like that's what makes uh your voice more interesting than if someone just either saying really high or really low, you know, they didn't have anything in between. And I think that I don't know, it's to me it's a little boring, you know, when the singer can only just do one range. And with you, you know, you got several different ranges, you know, that I can hear of, you know, and I'm sure that you could probably do more than what I've heard.
Well, I certainly have my limits, but I think even, you know, even if your vocal range is limited, there are still ways you can make it interesting. And, you know, somebody that's a good example of that, and this isn't in prog, but she's just first person that comes to mind is Gwen Stefani. Now, I wouldn't say that she has like a huge range, but what
Right.
she with her voice is very interesting and memorable, and she changes it up. So I
Yeah,
think as
I
long as you
think
know how to manipulate it enough to kind of make it different, you can work with a smaller range, and that's okay. I
right,
would rather be really comfortable with what they have and do it well, you know, than
right.
try to sing something that maybe they're not as qualified in. That's not to say you shouldn't try to do something different
Right.
and increase your range. I'm always trying to increase my range, but
Well, actually, what's you know, going back to Gwen Stefani, you know, it's like I think when she had more range when she was doing no doubt than she was doing her solo than the solo. The solo stuff was it was geared for a certain thing, whereas no doubt had had an eclectic uh,
it did.
style.
Yeah, really
Um,
big fan of No Doubt.
and oh, someone in the chat said the reason why Kate only did like to do studio is she wouldn't travel.
Oh, she didn't like to travel. Okay, well that makes
And
sense.
she did back in the I think it was 78 or 79, one of those years, she did a big thing at the Hammersmith Odeum in England. And then on her last tour that she did, my goodness, it was I want to say almost 10 years ago or so. Did I think it was like a 6-night residency or a 7-night residency at Hammersmith Odeum. So it's like if you were able to get there, you know, there was 7 nights you could choose from. And but I think she's been since then just been hooked, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure she's probably got enough money to that she doesn't need to do anything, you know. But at the same time, if you have music in your blood, it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you have a lot or a little, you know, you can always want to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if you just sit in front of a piano and just tinker with it and then sing something silly, you're still doing
Right.
something.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I can certainly understand somebody getting exhausted from the touring and saying, hey, I want to have a life here and I still have something to offer and I still want to pursue passion. It's getting to be a bit much for me. And I get it, we all need breaks now and then. And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially, being on tour is so exhausting. I've seen a lot of these documentaries that there's beginning of the tour, the guys are like all amped up and ready to go. And then by the end of the tour, it's like they just want to crash somewhere and turn off the light and not be bothered for months, and it's like, well, I can understand that. And I think a lot of the fans don't, they think, oh, you're supposed to, now you finish the tour, now get back in the studio, make some more music. And then after you put it out, get back on the tour. It's like, they need to relax,
yeah. Be inspired too to write. If you are just work, you need to live your life too, so that you have something to write about when you go into the studio.
Oh yeah, I agree. And and it's like it's not good to burn yourself out,
Right.
because then you might start to hate it. And
Exactly. Yes.
and I think that's in music, I think that be constitute as one of the biggest sins that you can do is burn yourself out and then hate what you love to do.
Right.
And it's like, so it's like, you keep yourself at a steady pace, don't overwork yourself, put out your music in the time that you want to put it out. And one of the guys in the chat, he goes, he spent 15 years on the road. He loved it, missed it, but I was quite a bit younger. Yeah, as we get a little older, we don't have that energy to do the things that we were able to do in our 20s. And but you can still tour, but you tour at your pace,
Oh,
do select dates, or if you find a nice little club to do, every Friday night you can go see Heidi sing songs, originals and her favorite covers, it's like, things like that, which is kind of,
yeah, that's the great thing about music is it's really up to you how you want to pursue it, and do it in a way that works for you. If you're burned out, then something's got to change. If if you're depressed, if you're not happy doing it, then something's got to change, and you just go from there. Find a path that works for you that you can live with, and until it doesn't work, then you change it up.
and I think too is with the media, they portray a certain look and what you need to achieve to be a singer. And it's like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But really isn't, if you're really a true singer, you don't care if you're performing for 5 people or 1,000 people, because you feel what that audience, when the energy, you'll feel their energy back from the songs. And so it's like I don't know, it's like, you want to, if you're a musician, that should be all that you care about, is making music. It doesn't matter where you play it. You'll have a core fan base and cater to them. Don't cater to a bigger fan base where, it's like, you become huge and you're not being true to yourself.
Right. Suddenly you're doing everything that the record label wants you to do instead of being true to yourself and what you're hearing, what your soul feels in the music
Oh yeah.
thing. I can remember being little and I want to be like, this big famous star and have all these fans and stuff, because I like to sing since I was a young girl. And then as you get older, you wise up and you're like, that really doesn't matter. I sing because I love singing. And
Yeah.
if people want to hear me and my music, that's fantastic, but that's not going to, being rich and famous, that's a nice, byproduct if that happens, but that shouldn't be the main goal of what you're doing, path and your purpose. And, just be true to yourself, and
Oh yeah.
it's really a great way to bring people together because it is its own language. It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even if they're, they don't agree on a lot of things, the music will bring them together,
Exactly. And unfortunately, fame can be a monster that can destroy you.
Yes.
Because once let's say you get that number one hit, then your record label wants you to do more like that. And that number one hit could have just been a fluke. It just happened to be created that way. And then now you're told I need to duplicate that. Well, what if you can't? And then they drop you. Mm-hmm. So it's like this is a thing that the record label, if they're going to sign you, they should be signing you for your music, what you've made, not for what they want you to.
Right.
That's why, the smaller labels that are out, like MRR, and other ones. And there's a lot of these bands that they have their own label so that they can put out their music, which is, that way they have 100% control, how the music is going to come out. Whereas when you're on some label, because you heard of, your fellow statesman, Engel, they got signed to Sony Records, and they're I don't remember exactly. I want to say they were at an Erie.
Not too familiar with that.
Yeah, but they basically they got screwed by them, and they couldn't. Their music was put in a vault for 5 years, and it's like, and they had to do other things because they love doing music. So it's like, it's sometimes getting on a major label may not be the best thing.
True. And I believe it was the band the Goo Goo Dolls. They signed their record label knowing that they were going to go bankrupt, but they did it because they wanted to be famous. They wanted to get their music out there. So, I mean, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, but
right.
There's a lot of tricks that, things people can slide into the contracts. You got to be careful. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. It's very easy to have, these big eyes when you see, oh, hey, I can get my music to the next level. People are gonna, be buying my albums. I'll be on the radio all the time. And you really you really want to know what you're getting yourself into.
Right. I mean,
So important.
it's kind of, in a way, you're selling your soul, and it's like how much is your soul worth in order to be famous? And some people can do it, and then tragically there's others that couldn't handle the fame, and unfortunately they took their lives, and
Right.
and it's like, for whatever the reason, I think musicians and also actors can be very, some of them can have very tortured souls. So you don't really know what's going on inside their brain. They could have a smile on their face when they're out in the public, but when they get behind closed doors, they could be the most miserable person on the planet. So it's like
fame and fortune. You think, oh, that's the American dream, but I mean, what's really important in life? It's not. You can't take these things with you when you die. It's like
exactly.
And I think a lot of people, they, like you said, sell their souls either figuratively or literally. And yeah, it's not what's important. They come to realize, I made a mistake.
Exactly.
I got my too deep. I didn't know what I was getting into. And these are not the things I should have been focusing on in my life. It wasn't important.
Exactly. I mean, you just stay true to your art form, whether it's a musician, an actor, or anyone in the entertainment industry. Stay true to yourself, and don't let other people tell you what you should or shouldn't do.
Right.
Because that limits, and I think that really puts a damper on someone's soul, that they can't, when someone tells you, no, you can't do that, and it's like, but I know I can. And and enough times that people say, no, you can't, then you're going to start to say, yeah, well, maybe I can't. And it's like, so it's like, sometimes, actually, I think most times it's better to be an artist either on an independent label or self-produced.
I agree.
That way you can control the direction of your music. I mean, you could let's say you could put out a solo album, and you can have various different styles on it, and just basically showcase different styles of music that you grew up with, or something that, hey, I always wanted to do that kind of. So it's like, how do they say, the sky's the limit when you're in control?
Right. Yeah. If you want to sign with a big label, that's fantastic. Just make sure that you control the rights of your own music.
Exactly. That's the one thing, is like a lot of the bands from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they let their managers do all that, and without even, finding out, what kind of, it's like, here my manager's in a Mercedes or a Maserati, and here I'm still in my pickup truck.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's wrong here,
Yeah, my dad's a perfect example of that. Back in 1966, he sold over 2 million copies of his song with the Contrails, Someone, and manager totally had ripped him off everything, didn't see a dime from it. So
I think that's one thing, especially nowadays, that if you're going to be a singer, not only should you know how to sing and create and write songs, but I think you need to have some, you don't have to have a lot of, knowledge, but have business knowledge as to what, and it's like, read the contract.
Right.
Anything, if you go down the list and if there's something wrong, you go, hey, what's this?
Talk to a lawyer. That's what they're
Exactly.
there
Like my friend Robert in the chat room says, have a good attorney.
for. Yes. Yep. So
You-
true.
Oh yeah. It's like, you need that, and it's like, so many artists over the years have been ripped off left and right. Not, how is it that I'm selling my records are going gold or double platinum or whatever, and I'm, like I said, I'm still in my pickup truck that I had, for the past 20 years, and it's like, again, there's something wrong there when
Wrong.
everyone else is making money, not me. And it's like, okay,
Always trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. So,
oh yeah, I agree. Oh, so you got okay, I go back to, your 80 song, you got the music video you're doing this summer, right?
very excited about that.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. Hopefully, I'm sure they'll probably put it up on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I'll have it on Facebook, on YouTube, and it's going to be on the. I think Zane said he may end up putting it on the Blu-ray disc too once the movie Treaters comes out.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of an extra fun thing on there.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I'm happy for you that you got something
Thank you.
going on during this crazy times.
Oh, these are strange times, aren't they? Crazy.
Oh yeah.
But
I think we're on the other side. I think we
yeah,
are. We're getting there.
a lot of people are getting down. They've been through, really hard times recently. And I just say, you got to let go of anything negative, focus on the good, focus on the good. Get through this. We will, and love. That's so important. Compassion and loving each other. Cause I think there's a lot of negativity going on right there. And I think we have to remember it's, most people's true intentions are good. So, if you can come from that perspective and just, show compassion, maybe somebody's not nice to you, but they're going through really hard times, maybe be extra nice to that person, even if you don't think it. And not to sound too cliche, but be the change you want to see, it's
right. I have been very positive on everything, and I have just this one thing is, I like to be treated, I treat people how I like to be treated.
right.
I don't, so I don't have anything else that when it comes to talking to someone or befriending them or anything, it's like, I'm gonna treat you the way I want you to treat me,
Right. Yep.
and I for the most part, I've been, pretty much as far back as I can remember, I've had that kind of a motto, I've had a few people, they don't, it doesn't always work back to you, but I don't let that discourage me. I mean, I'm sure some other people will probably like going, well, hey, but I just basically got to be nice to people. I mean, sometimes you do get people that no matter how nice you are to them, they're still going to be, an SOB back to you, no matter what. That's just
But
that's
can look in the mirror and say, hey, I did everything I could on my end,
Oh, exactly. And
not on you, that they're obviously dealing with something,
yeah. And like I said, I like to be positive. I mean, the past 6 years have been, a little rough on me, but um, health wise. But, I've had a lot of people go, with all that stuff that you've gone through, how are you still smiling? And I said, there's the alternative. I'm not going to go to the alternative. The alternative is being, this a grumpy person, that hates life. It's like I'm lucky that I'm still here.
Yeah.
And so I take every day, like they say, every day is a gift. And what makes life better is music.
Yes.
Music. I don't know what it is, but there could be songs that touch me at certain points in my life, or songs that have an emotion in them that I get it. I get where you know either the lyrics that the person is singing or the way they're singing the lyrics. It gets to me, and in such an amazing way. It's just that's why I love music. I love talking music. I may not know a lot of the technical jargons that and also um, other than certain keyboards and certain guitars and basses. I couldn't tell you um, effects people are using. It's like, but the end result, I feel it. I feel the energy off of them,
A
and
certain
it's like,
way,
oh
magical.
yeah, um, and you just can't beat that feeling. And
No.
I can only imagine how the person that sang that song, what was on their mind when they were singing it, or when they wrote the lyrics, what was on their mind at that time. And then when they sing it, whether it's in the studio or live, it's like I can only imagine what you know, and if sometimes it's really cool is when you're right both on the same wavelength. You know,
Right.
there's very few songs for me lately that have been like that I just feel a connection almost instantly to it. It's like I get on their wavelength, and I get what they're singing, and how they're the emotion behind their voice. So that's what draws me to music, honestly, regardless of the genre as of late, is if you can have that emotion in your voice, or the emotion in the playing. I mean, you can hear someone playing a guitar that they're not going a million notes per second. They're just it's just
They're saying
coming.
something, what they're playing.
Yeah, in a weird way, it's like the instrument that they're playing. It's like its own voice.
Mhm.
It's you know, and just at the same time, there's singers that their voices are like instruments. So you got it both ways.
It's funny. Rowan and Chris from Persephone Stream, they always used to um, know if a song was good enough. They'd rate it by GBFs, which was the goosebump factor. Like, are you getting goosebumps from the song? So the
Exactly.
keeper or not? So,
Oh yeah, or you get the hair standing on the back of your neck feeling,
mhm.
and it's like you're going through some sort of magical experience. in its own way, music for me has always been like a drug. It's like it's so addictive, and it's music, but when you hear something, it's like you want to have more. It's like you get one album from the band, and it's like want more if they got it. And on again, like I said previously, a rabbit hole. You're going down this rabbit hole, and it's going deeper and deeper. But at the same time, you're absorbing all this music, and sometimes, I mean, I don't even have to listen to a song. I can actually hear the song going. And to me, when that happens, there's something magical about that song that you can hear it regardless of, the genre. So,
It is magical though, once it hits you on that, it's like that alternate level, sixth sense.
oh yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about? You said you got the project coming up. Is it this year or next year?
Oh, it's this year, I do believe. So are you talking about the studio projects
Yeah.
coming up? This year we're going to start. So once I get the call to come in, waiting for some music to be sent to me as well to start working on it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so lots of exciting things.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I do look forward to hearing whatever comes out in the future with your voice on it, because it's always nice to have a singer that you can actually, you listen to and you feel comfortable when they're singing,
Thank you. That means a lot.
Oh, you're
Sometimes I
welcome.
hear my voice and I'm like, oh, I don't like my voice. But no, it's really nice to hear that. Thank you.
Well, sometimes musicians and vocalists, especially, are their own worst critic. So it's like, you gotta let others take a listen. Even if whatever you're doing is in a rough draft stage, demo stage, you could listen and you get feedback off of them, and especially your friends, because they're not gonna a real good friend is not gonna
Yeah, my real good friends, they'll tell me the truth. They're like, oh, I think that might need adjusted. And usually we see eye to eye on a lot of things when it comes to that. And I'll be like, yeah, I think I want to do that. And something might sound fine live when you're singing it, but then when you're under, the microscopic lens of the recording studio, everything is like intensified. So you hear everything. And I've been known to record an entire song that I thought it was a good melody and hear it back and said, nope, scratch that whole thing and redo the whole vocal line. So actually Candlelight was one such song like that. I wrote it one way as far as the melody, vocal melody. And when I heard it back, I'm like, it's fine. It's a good recording. This melody just doesn't do anything for me. It's not captivating. So we just decided to scratch it. And, I came in there with a few ideas and just try to put more feeling into it and come up with a more memorable melody. And it's definitely happier with the second take of that one. So.
Well, you got it, because once it's put onto CD, it's out there,
Right.
and so, I mean, you can correct certain things live, elaborate, expand on certain songs that, maybe, you listen back and you go, well, we could have added something right here, maybe a little longer passage, you know, maybe, and, or you could go on the opposite way and say, well, maybe the song was a little too long, there's a lot of parts in it just, that aren't really needed. So let's shrink it down to something that is
Right.
more concise. And, so, because I've heard different bands go either way. They either expand or they just, shrink the song down to something a little more easier, more cohesive. So, it really just depends.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the end, it's you, the songwriter, the musician, the vocalist, that's got to be happy with what you've done, and that's important. If you love it, other people are bound to love it.
Exactly.
Got it.
Oh yeah, and just you gotta, you gotta first love it, and when it gets recorded and gets to the final mix and ready to go off to the mastering and or whatever, and printing of the CDs, you got to go say, yeah, that was good,
Right.
and I liked it, the band likes it, and if people like what I've done before, then they're gonna like this,
Exactly.
It's like, I really like the style of, because Rowan just sent me I think it was the first 2 or 3 CDs out of the
Mhm.
blue, to me,
Evening Mirage and Moonspell, and then Opposition.
yes, those 3. He sent those.
Yeah, I thought that's what he told me he sent you.
Yeah, and I thought this is pretty cool because uh, at that time it's like I I just knew the standards of progressive rock. So when I was getting all these bands sending me things, to review, I was like going, there's so much more out there, And it's like it's not just, the main bands that are, that we all know and love. It's like there's bands of these bands that are musicians in themselves, and then here they're showing what they can make, and it's like it's just it's just so amazing, all the different music. And if you hear from him, tell him again, thank you for that, that he took a chance, you know and hopefully, maybe, who knows, you know it'd be kind of neat to see if something happens with you guys again.
You never know. I never say never. So
Exactly. But it should be. I think it should be done right. It shouldn't be a forced thing.
oh, absolutely.
If everybody, like you were saying earlier, we're all on the same playing field. We all know you know what's at stake. What we want to do with this music, and everybody is, okay, then that's the time to do it. I think when some bands, when they have their reunions, I think some of them are kind of, because, or they're done purely for money reasons, you know, that's all they're doing it for. They're not doing it because their heart's in it. They're doing it because, you know, they got some bills that they need to pay.
And most people can see through that. They might say, well, I do like the song, it's catchy, blah, 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 but I could tell their heart's not in it.
Exactly. So it's like, if you guys get back together, that'd be fantastic, or if you do something on the side, you know, it doesn't have to be
They're
Persephone.
still going strong from what I've heard. So even, so, but I don't know what the future holds. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they'll be putting more music out, either with or without me. So
Oh yeah. And of course, you know, this past year, they're probably everything's on hold, you know, and makes it so difficult for musicians. I totally feel for you guys that, you know, that they, you know, some are where they were hit in such a way where they couldn't make any music, and then you have some that were making music, you know, during last year, you know, and putting out CDs, you know. So I guess it's really where how it affected you. If uh, music was all you had, you know, or if music you have a day job, you know, or something like that, you know, it's like it really just depends on how you were affected,
mhm.
you know, and it's you know, like Robert Barry was saying last time, he said, you know, you can learn a new instrument, you know, try some, you know, learn new recording techniques that you know, it's like I didn't have time for that before, and well now I do, you know.
Right.
Is
For me,
like,
learning new recording programs and teaching myself to do remixes of music, because that's something I always wanted to do.
yeah,
But now I'm focusing more on the songwriting aspect, but it's still cool to say, hey, I can do a remix if I want to. So.
exactly, yeah, you know, so it's like, you know, okay, it was a bad year, a lot of bad things happened, but you know, you did something positive in it, even if it was just for yourself. You know, you did something positive, like, you know, like someone was asking on Facebook a while back, you know, what did you do different, you know, or new this year that you didn't do the last year, you know, the previous year, 2019. And, you know, I said, well, I did, you know, I started doing this show. And he says, and, you know, you're doing a good job. And I was like, going, wow, you know, I don't get that many comments about it. And so when I do, it's like, it makes me feel good enough that I can continue to the next week. Like I'm strongly considering taking on a second day, you know.
Right. I think it's wonderful. And that's there is, COVID's definitely taught us not to take anything for granted, but it's also, given us a chance. There is a silver lining here to focus on what's important and new things, things that matter to us, that are important to us, and like you're doing, showcasing, the music you enjoy, and different artists from everywhere. And I think that's wonderful.
Oh yeah, I'm having a blast, and you know, I'll continue to have it until the day that I'm not. You know, um, I I always, like I said, I always stipulate what the premise of the show is all about. You know, and again, you know, you can promote your music, and you know, where sometimes some places don't let you promote it, or they want, you know, compensation for it. And it's like, for me, it's like I'm basically this is my thank you to all the artists that I listen to. So, you know, it's like basically thank you for everything, you know, the making making my ears happy, you know. And oh,
Enjoy
so You know, now I got to ask you this. I hadn't asked anybody before. Artists out there, doesn't matter what the genre is, what artists out there do you think you'd like to do a duet?
Oh, there's a lot, but I'm going to say the first name that popped into my head, Sarah Brightman. Loved her ever since I was little. Just, I love her. And I love that she takes aspects of opera and combines it with pop music, which is kind of, I mean, I'm different in the way I do things, but a lot of what she does resonates with me. And I think I would just absolutely adore singing with her. She's so cool.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of her music, you know, watched a lot of the videos on YouTube, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was in a movie a few years back called Repo, the genetic opera.
Yes, did I say? I don't think I even saw that, and I kept saying I need to rent that movie, and then I got away from it and had forgotten. But thank you for reminding me, because I do want to rent that movie.
I mean, she did. I mean, she's just got this voice, you know, just an amazing voice, and it seems like it's so effortless how she sings.
Yeah, I first loved her voice when I started listening to Phantom of the Opera when I was younger, and trying to mimic the way she would sing. And I just thought she had such a beautiful voice, and I wanted to be able to sing like her.
And any male vocalists?
I think there's
Kind of putting you on the spot.
I know. Well, I'm like thinking of 20 at one time. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I've been listening to Dimash and Vitas. Have you heard of those two?
No, I haven't.
I love their voices, but especially Dimash. They both can sing like a coloratura soprano, but I love Dimash has this like deep low range too, and just has so much feeling. And he's not from the US, and I forget which country said he was from, but he is just, maybe one of our viewers may know, but he's amazing. He's just incredible. If you get the chance, go on YouTube, look up Dimash and Vitas. Very cool singers.
Okay.
They can sing a variety of different music, and I think well, Vitas had a techno stage also, but Dimash, he sings a lot of pop music as well, but also opera. And when he sings up high, you're like, wait, is that a guy singing up there?
Right.
He's so high, but he's truly incredible, and he's got this deep, rich range as well. So yes, that's my answer, Dimash. I'd like to sing a duet with him.
Well, it's nice when you can have like a or when you have kind of two different sounds, but they just blend so perfectly together, you know. I know there's a lot of you know, like I said before, a lot of male and female fronted prog bands, you know, and it's amazing when you got them in the same band, so it's like they can play off of each other, you know. So I really, that's pretty cool. You know, it's always nice to know it, you know, what other people you'd like to sing with, especially if it's, let's say if it's in a completely different genre than what you're used to, but their voice is what you're attracted to, not the music that they're doing. And so
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, so is there anything else you like to talk about? You know, did we
Well,
cut?
I'd like to thank all our listeners, viewers for tuning in. And thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You know, I'm very happy that we got the chance to reschedule.
Thank you.
And anytime, you know, you want to try doing this again down the line, you know, when you have something
I'd love
going
to.
on, you know, please do.
Yeah, maybe I'll have some of my new projects completed.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
on the show.
Yeah, you're always welcome back, you know,
So much.
how do you say welcome back to peddle your music.
There you go. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And
You're
say
welcome.
for me.
I sure will. I sure will. And I guess we'll leave it right here, and I'll talk with you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
Thanks.